Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Education. Today is Wednesday, August 26th. Stand for the pledge.
Nation, under God, and justice.
I'll now commence reading of the mission statement. We are committed to academic achievement and success for all students in a safe environment. In partnership with families in our community, our mission is to promote confidence, inspire a passion for learning, and prepare our students to become responsible global citizens. Motion to approve the revised agenda.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Memorial resolution for Ms. Kathleen Finnerty. Dr. Hassler?
Sure. The memorial resolution reads, unanimously adopted by the Monroe-Woodbury Board of Education at its regular meeting on Wednesday, August 26, 2026, whereas Mrs. Kathy Finnerty was employed by the Monroe-Woodbury Central School District as a non-bargaining typist in the business department. Her employment with the district began March of 1982, and she retired in July of 2013. And whereas through her dedication to the district, Kathy has touched the lives of many individuals in our district, it is hereby resolved that the Board of Education, on behalf of the entire district, extends in memoriam its appreciation and gratitude, as well as its sincere condolences to the Finnerty family. As the above resolution is adopted by the board, it will become part of the official historical records of the district and will serve as a memorial lasting for all time. As an aside, Kathy worked upstairs in this very building in the business office for decades. While she retired in 2013, the cabinet may or may not realize this, but you actually have met her. She was very active in the Monroe Senior Center for many years after her retirement in 2013, and she would be at the Senior Center every year for our annual budget presentations, just getting everybody geared up for the school budget vote. So you definitely have met her while at the Senior Center. She was a district resident. She was not only a huge supporter of the school district, but a huge supporter of the community at large, and heartfelt condolences to her family during this very difficult time.
Thank you. Motion to adopt the memorial resolution.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Questions and concerns from interested citizens? There are none for this meeting. We have a presentation of Portrait of a Graduate, New York Inspires update.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Board of Education for the opportunity to present this evening. I'm joined up here by Jason McElroy, who's the high school principal. The two of us are going to present on the New York Inspires initiative regarding graduation measures and the Monroe-Woodbury transformations update for this year. The board may recall that last year the Board of Ed asked for a similar presentation. Dr. Morales and I gave the presentation. The reason being is that State Ed at the time was releasing a lot of information, and some of it was a little bit confusing for people to understand because they have a multi-year plan that they're implementing in transitioning the state to new graduation measures. They're changing the way that the diploma is going to be in New York State. And so there was a little bit of confusion in terms of where they are in implementing this and what Monroe-Woodbury was doing in response to some of these initiatives. So we put this presentation together last year. Fast forward 12 months, some additional information has come out. We've done some additional work in Monroe-Woodbury, and we felt that it would be appropriate for us to come back to the Board of Ed, present this information to you to kind of give you and the community an update in terms of where the state is in this initiative and where Monroe-Woodbury is in terms of addressing some of the things that the state is releasing and proposing for the future. So the presentation is really broken up into two main areas. First, it's the state ed updates, and then it's what are we doing within Monroe-Woodbury to respond to some of the things that are coming out. We're going to be presenting a lot of information. There are many thank yous that go into the preparation of this because many, many, many hands have been at work in compiling all of the different things that you're going to hear about this evening. So to start, this slide is almost identical to the slide that Dr. Morales and I presented last year. This is a broad overview of where state ed is in terms of implementing the New York Inspires initiative. Basically, there are 4 transformations that they are proposing. One is releasing a portrait of a graduate, redefining credits and the credits required to graduate in New York State, sunsetting the assessment requirements, which is basically the Regents exam, in students needing them in order to be able to graduate, and a move to one diploma. If you go onto the state education website, there's a link. I have it later on in the presentation. There's a frequently asked questions section. This chart comes directly from that page, and it basically lists by cohort where they are in terms of the implementation of this initiative. And they do it by cohort, which is the year that the students enter into the high school. So the cohort of 2023 is the graduating class of 2027. So basically this year's seniors. So they would be the first row. The cohorts of 2024, 2025, and 2026, the classes of 28, 29, and 30 would be the next phase. The cohort of 2027, which are next year's freshmen, and our current 8th graders, and the cohort of 2028, which is our current 7th graders, are the third phase, and the cohort of 2029, the final group, the final sort of destination of this initiative is the current 6th graders that are in the middle school. So I'll talk a little bit more momentarily about what each of the different propositions are. Last year, when Dr. Morales and I presented, New York State had just released July 14th, 2025, the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. And again, with that, we were getting a lot of questions because people automatically assumed when they started hearing about the Portrait of a Graduate that simultaneously the Regents exams were no longer going to be required. And we had some students who may not have been successful in the Regents exam in June of 2025, and the parents were reaching out to the high school and reaching out to me, wondering, does their child need to come in over the summer to pass the Regents exam? Did they need to retake the course? Because there was a little bit of ambiguity based upon the information that was coming out from state ed and what state ed was telling school districts. So the Portrait of a Graduate was passed in July of 2014, but that did not include any of the regulations regarding the Regents exams and the Regents exams being attached to students graduating with a Regents diploma. This year, something new this year, the state is beginning the process of redefining credits. What that means is currently in New York State, students are required to take 22 credits in high school in order to be able to graduate. They need 4 credits in ELA, 4 credits in social studies, 3 science, 3 math, 1 world language, 2 physical education, 1 arts, half a credit in health, and 3.5 credits of electives. The state is proposing moving away from a credit-based system for students to get a diploma and to more of a performance-based, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that proposition looks like from the state ed department. They are starting to release information. They came out with the first round of information this March, where one of the new requirements that they're going to expect on school districts is that we incorporate personal finance and climate education into students' curricula. So that is a new requirement that was not previously part of the graduation requirement. You'll notice under the sunset bullet that there's no parentheses there because at this moment in time, the state has not decoupled Regents exams from students graduating in New York State. That was true for the summer of 2025, and that's true for the summer of 2026. At this moment in time, students are still required to pass the Regents exams in order to be able to graduate in New York State. They're saying that that's going to be released. If you look at the second, I know the print is small, the second phase of this, diploma assessment requirements proposed to sunset within 4 years when they initially released this information, and in parentheses it says fall of 2027. So they are proposing, we're anticipating within the next year, that this will become an official regulation from the State Ed Department, and they will be officially decoupled from being a requirement in graduation. That does not mean that they're going to do away with the exams. It just means that students may not be required to pass them, and they may be able to demonstrate proficiency in other ways. The final transformation is the move to one diploma. This past June, the State Ed Department announced that they are going to be doing away with a local diploma, a Regents diploma, or a Regents with Advanced Designation diploma, and they're going to be moving to one diploma. That announcement has come, but they have not officially created the regulation in terms of what that is going to look like. In June, when they released that, they released this one-page document. And again, I apologize, the print is small, but I want to highlight two particular areas of this document. In June, when they started to speak about the one diploma that they're going to be moving towards, they began to emphasize something called competency-based education. And basically, I'm going to read to you what they released. They're saying that the new diploma framework is grounded in New York State competencies that are aligned to the New York State portrait of a graduate, and it prioritizes and it continues to prioritize the New York State learning standards. Rather than relying on seat time or traditional credit accumulation as the primary measure of progress, students will demonstrate readiness through evidence of learning developed over time. The state plans on releasing statewide performance standards, rubrics, quality assurance processes, and accountability measures to ensure consistency across New York State. Meaning, as they move to this new model, they're going to continue to release information, consistent rubrics, and frameworks in terms of what the state is expecting students to do in order to be able to graduate as they move away from requiring Regents exams. However, the competency-based piece that I just spoke about is in the right column. On the left, there's a section that says what this means right now. Again, this is as of June 15th. The second bullet says, current graduation requirements, credits, assessment, and school obligations remain in effect for the time being. So again, we've had parents who've reached out saying, should my child sit down and retake the earth science exam? Should they retake the geometry Regents exam? Because my child might be in the 2024 cohort that says that the requirements are going to be sunsetting next year. They may not be in place by the time my child graduates. The counsel that we've been giving to them is, until this becomes official, we strongly recommend that you sit down and you take the exam and you pass the exam. As soon as that changes, as soon as this language changes, we will communicate otherwise. But for the time being, we strongly encourage people to sit down and continue to take the Regents exam because at this moment in time, that is still the requirement. How am I doing so far? Oh, okay, good. Thank you. So this is the same slide as what we presented last year. July of 2025, New York State passed and approved the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. In New York State, this is across the entire state, students will be academically prepared, creative innovators, critical thinkers, effective communicators, global citizens, reflective, and future-focused. So, Mr. McElroy, myself, Sue Alisea, the guidance department chair up at the high school, participated in a working group over the course of the year at Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, where we collaborated with other school districts as well as stakeholders from BOCES, because local BOCES are the conduit to information that gets released directly from the State Ed Department. So they sort of have the most current intel in terms of things that are coming down through, from the state. And we collaborated with them over the course of the year, and they were able to not only share with us some updates in terms of what was coming down the line from the State Ed Department, but also working with other school districts and learning about what their interpretation is of these items that are being released and how they're responding accordingly. So the next portion of the presentation, we're going to speak to you about how Monroe-Woodbury is acting in response to some of these initiatives and how we're preparing for when these regulations become finalized, what things will begin to look like here in Monroe. The first item is we developed a Monroe-Woodbury portrait of a graduate. The next presentation that you're going to hear is the presentation about the district strategic plan goals. This was one of our goals last year. I oversee the achievement subcommittee of the strategic plan, and the goal was basically to develop a Monroe-Woodbury portrait of a graduate. The subcommittee basically took the New York State portrait of a graduate, as well as the key focus areas of the strategic plan, and developed an initial draft of the portrait of a graduate. We then took that draft and we went to as many stakeholder groups as we could to gather feedback. We presented it to the whole strategic plan committee. We presented it to administrative council. We presented it to the curriculum council, the student engagement task force, the district leadership committee. We got it out there as much as we possibly could to gather feedback from our stakeholders in terms of what we believe are essential components to what we want our students to look like as they graduate from and achieve when they graduate from Monroe-Woodbury. So to kind of get into a little bit of a more granular sort of breakdown of the portrait of a graduate, and forgive me, I know that you're not supposed to, when doing presentations, read from the slide, but in this case, words matter, because these words were very carefully crafted by the committee as well as the various stakeholders that contributed to it. So there are 4 areas. The first area is an academically prepared learner, and the expectation is that students engage in rigorous standards-aligned learning. They think critically, creatively, analytically, and considers varying perspectives. The student applies knowledge and essential skills across disciplines and real-world contexts. The second category is the student is supported through choice and differentiation. This is a great area of pride in Monroe-Woodbury. We're very proud at the broad range of opportunities, experiences that we're able to provide for our students here in Monroe-Woodbury. So in this area, students will exercise meaningful choice in courses, pathways, and experiences. Our students pursue academic, technical, artistic, athletic, and service opportunities, and they have access to experiences learning tailored to individual needs, interests, and abilities. The next category is socially and emotionally well. Again, later on in the strategic plan presentation, you're going to hear from the safety group, and the social emotional wellness is an attribute of our district strategic plan as well. Our students build self-awareness, resilience, and healthy coping strategies, and they develop and maintain positive relationships with peers and adults. And the fourth category is a community-minded, effective communicator. This category, interestingly, one of the groups, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, that we presented the portrait of a graduate to was our student engagement task force. We have a group of students that are representative of both the middle school and the high school, who meets on a regular basis with the cabinet and the middle school and high school administration, just to talk about things that we may see as pressing issues. A big conversation last year was distracted-free learning and the implementation of that. And we gather feedback from them, and we provide information to them that they then disseminate to the student body. When I presented the portrait of a graduate to them, this is one area that got a lot of feedback from them, and they were very passionate about making sure that our students are good public speakers. They believe that our students need to be able to graduate high school being articulate and strong public speakers. So in this category, the student communicates clearly, respectfully across diverse audiences, media, and settings, and the students act responsibly and contributes both locally and globally. Any questions on this so far? Later on, I'm going to talk to you about what the rollout, this is a basic introduction. I'll talk to you a little bit later on at the end of the presentation about what the rollout will be of the portrait of a graduate and how this is going to be launched across the entire school district. So The rollout of the Portrait of a Graduate, the Monroe-Woodbury Portrait of a Graduate, is one of the transformations taking place within Monroe-Woodbury. Another transformation is
Pathways. Good evening, everybody. So here at Monroe-Woodbury, we provide students with meaningful pathways that are in line with New York Inspires and Portrait of a Graduate. We continue to support students pursuing the New York State Seal of Civic Readiness and Seal of Biliteracy, recognizing the importance of civic engagement, multilingualism, and preparation for life beyond high school. We also offer several New York State approved career and technical education pathways, including business administration, management, food and nutrition, early childhood, fashion, apparel and design, and work-based learning. Programs provide students with opportunities to connect classroom learning to careers and real-world experience. As of last year, we have been approved to offer the Individual Arts Assessments pathway, providing another option for students to demonstrate their learning through focused experiences. Additionally, in preparation of what's to come, we continue to work on additional pathways internally, including our educational pathway, with a health and wellness and computer science pathway currently in. Okay, so Dr. Hassler mentioned the climate education and personal finance requirements coming down the line. We have also been preparing for the new requirements around these two items. Personal finance is in effect this year, so that is a requirement for graduating seniors, and then climate education goes in effect next year. This requirement will ensure students develop practical skills related to budgeting, saving, credit, investing, and financial decision-making. This required criteria has been embedded in multiple courses and curriculums, with economics being our catch-all for all of our students in their senior year. The climate education requirement aims to strengthen students' understanding of climate science, environmental impacts, and responsible decision-making. These requirements are also embedded in existing curriculum, including courses ranging from grade 10 to grade 12. Regarding transcripts, students currently have two transcripts, a traditional academic transcript, which is what students and parents essentially see in their parent portal when they log in, and then a college transcript, which consists of their final averages and Regents scores that are sent to schools. Starting this school year, in preparation for a future in which Regents exams are no longer a primary graduation requirement, we are proposing two changes regarding students' Regents scores. One is to remove Regents exams from the calculation of students' final F4 course grades, as recommended by the Education Department. And the other is to remove Regents exam scores from student college. These changes will allow students' grades and transcripts to more accurately reflect coursework, learning, and achievement while preparing us for the evolving direction of graduation requirements in New York State, which places greater emphasis on multiple measures of student learning, demonstrated competencies, and college, career, and civic readiness. We are also reviewing our current honors and recognition practices to ensure they appropriately and equitably recognize student achievement. Currently, we recognize seniors through valedictorian, salutatorian, and our top 25 distinctions, while students in grade 9 through 12 are recognized each quarter by honors. Beginning with the class of 2030, so our current incoming freshmen, we are proposing to transition to a broader graduation honors model that includes valedictorian, salutatorian, and now Latin honors, cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude. These changes allow us to recognize a broader range of student achievement while reducing some of the unintended competitiveness and pressure that is associated with our current model. By moving away from a system that emphasizes class rank and small numerical differences in GPA, we hope to encourage students to select courses based on their interests, strengths, and future goals, rather than solely on how courses may impact their. The new model also provides more students with meaningful recognition for their academic accomplishments and creates a culture that truly celebrates student achievement. For the 26-27 school year, we're also looking to update our quarterly recognition by changing honor roll and high honor roll to principals list and principals list with distinction. This provides a more consistent approach to recognizing academic achievement and uses terminology more commonly associated with higher education.
So, as I shared earlier, there are two key websites that I have been referencing. The first is a link to the actual New York State Portrait of a Graduate. Each of the elements of the New York State Portrait of a Graduate are have more detailed information about what is actually entailed in each of those categories. So you can follow that link to find more information about that. As well as any updates as the State Education Department releases information on graduation measures. The 4 transformations that I was speaking about can be found on that website there as well, including the frequently asked questions section that I was referencing earlier. So in terms of next steps, first and foremost, we plan on continuing with the working group that we participated in at Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES this year, so that way we can hopefully stay ahead of any additional information that's released from state ed. Beyond presenting to the Board of Education, I know I'm hoping that there are many people that are tuning into this presentation. However, if there aren't, we are going to certainly have to take this show on the road and make sure that we make this information as accessible as we possibly can for our families, because there is a lot of critical information here. Part of that is the release of the Monroe-Woodbury Portrait of a Graduate. I don't want to steal too much thunder from the next presentation, and I'll be speaking about these items next. Again, in the next presentation, in terms of the plan that we have of rolling out the Monroe-Woodbury Portrait of a Graduate, as well as getting the community up to speed on the New York Inspires initiative, where the state is in that initiative, and where Monroe-Woodbury is positioned regarding each of those elements as they are released. Questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I had one quick question. You mentioned when you were discussing the cohorts on the bottom
Mhm.
of the line about everything is waiting on the Board of Regents. Do you have any idea of when they may finalize?
So, I don't know if there's a laser on here. The second phase, it's sort of like the first yellow box. In parentheses, it reads, current credit requirements, diploma assessment requirements proposed to sunset within 4 years, parentheses, fall 2027. So we anticipate, hopefully, that something will be released by the end of this school year, like the spring of 2027, for us to be able to officially communicate to the community starting with the 27-28 school year. So far, it seems like the timeline, you noticed June, July has been the time when they usually come out with, updates regarding where they are with this. That was held true last year in 2025. That was the same in 2026. That's what we're predicting as of right now. And a lot of the things that we're proposing are basically us trying to stay ahead of the game, so that way we're prepared and we have the as much information as we can communicated to the community, so that way we can just flip the switch and we're ready to go whenever it comes out.
Thank you.
Excuse me. But in the interim, this year's class will be preparing.
100% yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Even though they may not be a requirement.
And I want to be clear regarding that also. I think, remember, Regents exams are aligned to New York State standards. They are the culmination of the curriculum that the state has presented to us that we teach over the course of the school year. It's simply an assessment at the end of the year. Even if the Regents exams do not become a requirement at the end of the year, unless they change the standards, much of the curriculum is going to remain very much the same, because the Regents exam is simply an assessment at the end of a full year worth of curriculum. So the algebra exam may not necessarily be required for students to pass in order to be able to graduate, but you're still, in all likelihood, going to probably need some form of math in the form of algebra, geometry, algebra 2, that is going to be aligned to the New York State standards. So the course itself is still probably going to remain fairly the same. It's the manner in which students are demonstrating proficiency that may evolve over time.
Is that clarified?
Mm-hmm. You were going to say something.
Well, I believe the message that we got this year was math, English, and science were still going to be a requirement for students to
Right,
take.
and actually I had a note in here. the U.S. Department of Education, part of the requirements of our federal funding is we still are required to, and students are still required to sit for standardized assessments in ELA and math. So, again, they may not necessarily be a requirement for graduation, but they still may be required to sit and take those exams. Very similar to the 3 through 8 testing that exists at the middle level.
Any other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a second presentation about the cabinet goals.
So while we set up, I just want to inform the public and the board that I do have some prepared words that I'll share here in a second. The cabinet will get into the actual presentation of the goals, but I just want to reiterate that as the superintendent of the district, that I feel it's my role to protect the authenticity of this process. So the words that you're going to see tonight are the words from the actual committees, the subgroups, when they met and they developed goals. I did not direct that those words be changed, and I just want the public to know that, as well as the board. A lot of people put a lot of time and energy into this process, and I want people to focus as we go through this presentation tonight to see that what you said and what you wrote, you will see on the screen, that we did not alter that. So good evening again, and thank you to the Board of Education for giving us this opportunity to share an overview of our strategic planning process and how that process has shaped and defined the district goals, proposed goals, for the 2026-27 school year. As our strategic planning partner, Generation Ready shared at the August 12th board meeting, we reached out to our school community in numerous ways to gather their thoughts, perspectives, and insights about the Monroe-Woodbury school experience. In total, nearly 5,000 students, families, staff members, and community members participated through surveys, focus groups, and community forums. That feedback provided us with valuable and comprehensive picture of our district. We learned more about what we're doing well, identified areas where there are opportunities for growth, and most importantly, collaborated with members of our school community to establish goals that reflect the needs and aspirations of Monroe-Woodbury. Those goals, now our proposed district goals, are designed to strengthen our connections with students, families, and the broader community, enhance and improve our students' experience both in and out of the classroom, and position Monroe-Woodbury for continued success well into the future. Next slide. So as we develop our district priorities for the years ahead, we've worked with all stakeholders to develop a new mission and vision statement. Through that collaborative process, we established a simple but powerful vision. Empower all students. I want to say that again. Empower all students. These three words capture the heart of what we want for every student. We want every student to feel valued, supported, challenged, and equipped with the knowledge, skills, and confidence they need to reach their full potential. Our new mission statement brings that vision to life. I would ask that we pause for a moment to allow you and our viewers to read our mission statement that's posted on the screen. Okay, so this mission, it reflects both our commitment and our responsibility to create the conditions in which every student can succeed. It also reinforces that student success is a shared responsibility. It takes all of us working together to ensure that every student has the support and opportunities they need to thrive. Our strategic plan that we've been working on, that's simply the roadmap that would help us turn this into, and at least turn the vision and mission into action. Next slide. So tonight, our cabinet members will each take a turn highlighting one of the 4 focus areas. And those focus areas are achievement, community, opportunity, and safety. I'll say that again. Achievement, community, opportunity, and safety. These 4 pillars will provide the framework for how we focus our efforts, measure our progress, and continue moving Monroe-Woodbury forward. The overarching goal for the next 5 years are as follows. Slide. So what you're looking at is the goal under achievement once we hit the 5-year mark. By 2031, our district will increase student achievement by expanding pathways to graduation aligned with New York State Education Department graduation measures, ensuring all of our students are college and career ready. You heard Dr. Hassler speak to that. That is our 5-year goals. As I mentioned earlier, this is the strategic plan, is the roadmap each year to get us to that point. Next slide. Opportunity. By 5 years from now, we're going to ensure all students have access to opportunities that match their potential. We're going to remove those barriers. We're going to improve communication across all schools, and we're going to amplify student voices so everyone feels safe, included, and ready to learn. Next slide. In terms of community, by 2031, our district will be at the heart of the community, bringing stakeholders together in a shared sense of belonging where every voice is not only heard, but also valued. And finally, safety. By 2031, our district will create a unified approach to safety that supports physical security, digital safety, and social, emotional well-being. These focus areas were developed by our community. This is what the people shared with us when we met. This is what they deemed important. And what we've done, the community, all the stakeholders have put these goals, what you see on the screen. Now, I'm going to turn it over to the cabinet, and starting with Dr. Hassler, they're going to go through each of these goals for the upcoming year. These are the goals that we're asking the board to adopt. And when they speak about the goal, it is year 1 of this 5-year path that we're on, and they're going to speak to that specific goal as well as the action steps associated with that goal. Dr. Hassler.
Thank you, Dr. Norman. Okay. You can go through. So, as Dr. Norman mentioned, the overarching goal that he read was through the 2031 school year. The key initiative for the 26-27 school year under achievement is to adopt the Monroe-Woodbury Portrait of a Graduate, which defines success through academic preparation, social emotional wellness, and real-world readiness. Congratulations, the last presentation was the beginning of that. That was the launch of our strategic plan goal for this school year. Our action steps are as follows. First and foremost, we're going to adopt and launch the Portrait of a Graduate. That's inclusive of the development and implementation of a communication plan. How are we going to get the word out to, as Dr. Norman mentioned, The key is to engage all stakeholders in this 5-year plan. How do we get everybody, students, staff, families, parents, community members, engaged in this work? So taking that communication plan and rolling it out cohesively and consistently across the entire community. Additionally, we're going to provide ongoing professional development to the staff. Similar to the presentation that I just gave you, this is very much a fluid situation regarding the New York State Inspires initiative on the State Ed Department. We want to make sure that we first and foremost have our staff that's aware of where the state is as they're moving forward and where Monroe-Woodbury is in terms of implementing each of the initiatives that are coming out from the State Ed Department, as well as the various components that exist within the Portrait of a Graduate. The next portion of that this year is to begin looking at our curriculum and experiences that we provide to our students and make sure that where each of the elements that exist in that Portrait of a Graduate are embedded in the curriculum and the experiences that our students have access to, all of our students. And the final piece of the goal this year is to begin to establish a system to monitor and track student progress. Not only where do those experiences exist, how effectively are our students accessing those opportunities, and how are they completing those opportunities and demonstrating their proficiency, and how are we tracking that K-12? Even though Mr. McElroy was up here during that presentation, under no circumstances do we want to give the impression that this is a high school exclusive initiative. This is the Portrait of a Graduate, is a K-12 Portrait of a Graduate. It needs to be both vertically and horizontally mapped to track student progress through graduation. This just doesn't happen in the final 4 years of students' experience. And again, this is the Portrait of a Graduate that we now have our package. People are going to begin to see it. We are going to, Dr. Morales and I are going to be introducing the strategic plan goals to the staff, including the Portrait of a Graduate, on our opening day superintendent conference day. It's going to be made accessible to parents at open house. It's going to be available to parents on the district website. We have a full communication plan that's going to be coming out. Up is Dr. Morales an opportunity.
For this year, thank you, is to conduct a comprehensive audit of all of our programs and looking at where are the gaps. Are our students accessing opportunities that are available to them, and do they feel as though they have access? So as Dr. Norman said before, our commitment is for all of our students and looking at how our students feel they have the ability to participate in any of our offerings. So our first step there is to inventory our offerings. That is everything. Academic, CTE, our extracurricular, as well as our social emotional programs, and that's district-wide K-12. We'll be doing that for every building, which will then lead towards a district-wide picture of what are we offering right now. After that, we're analyzing the access, the voice, the priorities, and the equity. So just because we say we offer it doesn't mean that our students, one, know that we offer it or feel that they have the ability to participate equally. So we will be making sure to track participation rates, analyzing particular subgroups who may not be represented, and looking at those barriers that may exist or how our students feel that they exist. And then finally, as Dr. Norman also mentioned, it's a year of action. So it's one thing to have all of this on paper, but our final step will be developing and proposing plans that will either revise or expand our offerings for 27, 28, and beyond.
Good evening. Our goals and action steps for the community group, they are grounded really directly in the survey data, the open-ended feedback that we received, across our stakeholders. So that's our students, our staff, our families, our community. We took that information and we took that data, and that's how we identified our key initiative and our action steps. Our key initiative for this year is to launch student engagement groups at every building to ensure student voices directly influence school culture and district decisions. And I'll get into that a little bit more as I start discussing our action steps. So our first action step is to disaggregate the climate data by building to identify specific priority areas for each individual school. The survey data that we received was district-wide, and that's what we based these goals and the action steps off of. However, we have the ability to break that data down by building level, and that's what our first action step is going to be, because a student that is responding that they don't feel welcomed or comfortable in a school setting, that's going to look very different, and the reasons are going to be very different if that's a kindergartner who's saying that as opposed to a fourth grader, a middle school, or a high school. That means something different to each of them based on their age, their maturity level, their developmental level, and so forth. So we're going to break that data down, and each building will then, based on the data that they are going through and sorting through at their level, they will identify 1 or 2 high priority community areas and develop a targeted building level response plan based on that data. The second thing is to develop a family engagement initiative at each school. Based on our survey results, about a third of our families did not fully agree that they are invited to participate at school events. So that is something that we want to focus on. So in an effort to strengthen our partnership between our families and our schools, each building is going to identify and pilot 1 or 2 specific strategies to try to remove those barriers to family engagement, again, based on their individual results once they start to break down that data by school. The goal, obviously, is to increase family engagement, participation, and again, strengthen that partnership between with our families and schools. The next is student voice and belonging structures. This is where our key initiative comes in. According to our survey results, 64 of the students feel that they belong in their school. 55% of students feel that they are listened to and heard to from adults. And only about 40% of our students agreed that students treat one another with respect. We obviously strive for our students to feel comfortable and valued in the school setting. And the students are obviously at the heart of everything we do, which is why this became our key initiative for this year. So therefore, we're going to be launching a student belonging advisory structure at every building, which will allow students to provide regular formal feedback to the administrators, to work with their peers, share their experiences, a way for them to influence their school culture, again, developmentally at each level. And lastly, to explore district communication and coherence and transparency. Families also cited the need for more regular, transparent communication about their children's school experiences. So we are going to explore a district-wide communication protocol, which would establish consistent standards for timely family communications. Again, the goal to provide more transparent back and forth communication with our families and staff. This particular action step really has ties to all 4 of the pillars. So this is something that's going to really be a collective effort across all of the subgroups as part of the strategic plan. And next up is safety.
Thank you, Chris. So safety is the 4th pillar of our strategic plan, and we're using a tagline, if you will, a culture of total safety. And by total safety, you think of safety, you might think of physical safety and security. That's part of this, but we're also talking about social, emotional learning and wellness. So kids feel safe coming to school, safe from being bullied, safe from harassment, that kind of thing. And the final subdomain, if you will, is digital safety. So that's another component. So the initial component here is physical safety and security. I'll just go through the key initiative real quick. Implement total safety, recognizing that physical security is only effective when paired with strong relationships and a sense of belonging. So, we're hoping that we can accomplish all of these things. I think we do a good job with the physical safety, the social, emotional wellness and learning. It's a little more difficult. I'm going to get into it. We're doing various things throughout the district already, but we want to really emphasize that as part of our strategic plan. So in the realm of physical safety and security, there are 3 action items for the upcoming year. the emergency alert system. So that's our Centegic system, which we began in the spring of last year. So we anticipate rolling that out and going live in, I would say, October, mid-autumn. The system took a little bit longer to configure, to test than we had initially anticipated, but it's a comprehensive district alert system, emergency alert system. Not many districts in the area are using it. It's going to give us a big leg up in the area of safety and security. The final piece would be final testing and configuration of the system with staff training, and finally badge distribution. And Joe Tripotto, Director of Safety Security, and my colleague Bhargav have really spearheaded this initiative, so thank you to them. Reunification planning is the second action item under physical safety and security. And so by reunification, we're talking about in the event of some sort of emergency or something at a school, we literally have to evacuate all the students and staff off-site and then reunify them with their families, their parents. So that could be something related to the building, like a gas leak. It could also be a more catastrophic event, like an active shooter. So in the past, we've had informal plans and discussions. We had a lot of discussions about it. But for the upcoming year, we want to formalize that discussion, have a written plan, review, assess, create different scenarios, because the actions would be different depending on the school, obviously, and the nature of the event. We're in discussions right now with a vendor offsite, or I should say a property owner offsite as a reunification location. So you'll be seeing a little bit more related to that in the near future. And finally, the third element of this would be best practices in emergency response planning. So we always try to push the envelope on that. For the upcoming year, we're going to review our emergency response plans, which are confidential plans at each school building. We're going to push staff development, especially in the realm with our safety officers, and do additional tabletop exercises and drills. We want to reestablish an annual meeting with first responders, something we did in the past. We bring all the local first responders and police departments together. We're hoping we can do that and actually describe and provide some information about our reunification plan at that meeting. And then finally, we're going to procure and distribute classroom, toolkits, the go bags that we did at the high school. We're going to continue to do that at the middle school. Next slide. So the social emotional wellness and learning element of this, again, was a little outside of my wheelhouse, but it's important, so we're going to forge ahead nonetheless. So there's, again, 3 elements to this, 3 action items. So the first action item is an audit or review of I'm calling it SEL, but it's really social emotional wellness as well, SEL practices at the district. So we're going to review through curriculum offices, and there is some overlap because Karen had mentioned some of the work that they're doing in the opportunity group. Current state of SEL practices district-wide. So there are things in that realm happening. We just need to take account of it. And related to that, we're also going to conduct a survey of our staff. So we want to establish through both the audit and the survey kind of a baseline of staff understanding of SEL and how integrated SEL is into the district culture and district practices, classroom practices with counselors, et cetera. So with those 2 action items, I like to think of it, I have that up there, as sort of what's the current state of affairs related to SEL in the district, and what's the desired state? Where do we want to go in the next 5 years in that realm? And the difference, are the action items and the objectives of the strategic plan for each year. And then the final piece would be to explore opportunities to integrate SEL within the student experience. So I mentioned we are doing things related to social emotional wellness and learning. We want to identify those things in the first 2 action items and then amplify them in this year, if possible. There are things we're going to be doing, an initiative, PBIS, positive behavior intervention strategies, which is very much aligned and intertwined, if you will, with SEL. If students have better SEL practices, they're better regulated, they can control their behavior better, they can interpret the behavior of others more accurately and have better relationships. It's those sorts of things. So The SEL will improve student behavior, and there's an interface and an interaction between those two things. But so that's what I mean by the final bullet there. Next slide. And I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Viez, who's going to talk about digital safety.
Before I jump to digital safety, so the SCL, you already saw the overlap of, but Dr. Hassler presented the portrait of graduate. One of the quadrant was the SCL. So it will truly also align in all the 4 areas of the strategic plan for our district. The last piece is the digital safety. What we are looking to do is, as a school district, we collect a variety of different data for students, parents, and staff. We run payroll, so we have the data for Social Security. We have the health data. We are looking to dig in a little bit deeper about how we do the data classification, and then how do we handle the standards that are aligning to the best practices. What data we give out to the vendors, and are this the required data? Can we minimize that to reduce the exposure down the road for the different vendors? We continue to enhance our disaster recovery and business continuity planning, and the incident response planning and testing. As the technology gets better, AI gets better, so does the not so good side of the technology also gets better. And we had to continuously be on the edge of what's out there. How do we protect the data and the network that we have for our district, for our students, parent, and the staff members? We continue to enhance the rollout of the multi-factor authentication. This year we'll be targeting our, obviously starting with the board members first, starting next week, and then all of our non-instructional, instructional part-time staff members that we have not done so far. So that will be our next phase, and that will leave us a very small number of groups that we will be enhancing in the coming future. This is also our year 3 for the framework assessment. We follow as a school district, in fact, it's a policy, that we follow the NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework 2.0. The last 2 years, we have worked from the outside consulting company who would come in and review the gap analysis for the control 1 to 12. And they provided us some helpful suggestions to what are the gaps and how do we mitigate the gaps before it get exposed too much. This year, we will be exploring the last 6 controls from control 13 to 18. And each control has from 5 to 7 subcontrols. This is truly a comprehensive review of what practices and procedure we have to enhance and where are the gaps. And then how do we take the recommendation, enhance the gap, or mitigation the risk that might come out at the part of the assessment. And truly the goal to do this is to identify this in advance, so before anyone else or anything bad happen, this will allow us to continuously progress in the right direction. And then the last but not least, one of the NIST CSF 2.0 enhancement last year was, what does the cybersecurity governance looks like from the school district perspective? We do have a robust technology committee, but we want to enhance that technology committee and convert eventually into the cybersecurity governance and allow the shared approach of how do we govern a variety of different cybersecurity controls and procedures and protocols we have, and what would be the oversight look like to enhance the positive outcome of this initiative.
Okay. So we've thrown a lot at you, and I acknowledge that. There's still just one other point I want to highlight that I think is very important. So what we just went through are your proposed goals. But we have our own set of goals. This process that we explained tonight, we attempted to capture what was important to our community and put it in the form of goals. But all the cabinet members up here have their goals, and all of our building administrators meaning principals, our directors, they have their goals too. We have already started that work. We worked extensively, on putting those goals together. Now, what you see on the screen, much of it, the cabinet's goals, the building administrators' goals, is nested, obviously, in what we just went through. But it's not the end-all, be-all. There are other areas that we will focus on that perhaps you did not see up there. And I think that's very important that the board and the public knows that. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. This is a year of action. This is a year of action. So in closing, I want to share my final prepared words with you and the community. We've spent years doing the work that comes before meaningful change. We've listened, we've researched, we've analyzed data, engaged our community, and thoughtfully planned for the future of our district. Now it's time to move forward from planning to action. We're at the point now where theory must meet practice. That's where we are. No more talking. With the board's approval, the goals outlined in our strategic plan will become our district goals. We have built accountability measures into our work throughout the school year so that we're not waiting until the end of the year to determine whether we have been successful. I want to read that again. We have built accountability measures into our work throughout the school year so that we're not waiting until the end of the year to determine whether we have been successful. We're going to regularly measure our progress. We're going to use evidence to guide our decisions, celebrate areas of growth, make adjustments when our strategies are not producing the results our students deserve. And if we don't do that, I'm asking the board and the public for accountability. We're asking for it. And I want to be clear about that. I'm done talking. We're going to see change this year, and we're not going to fail. One of the things I shared with an administrator yesterday, we don't fail. We either win or learn. That's where we are. The true measure of our strategic plan will not be how well we can describe it, but how clearly our students, staff, and families and community can see and feel its impact. So this concludes our presentation. We welcome any questions that you may have, and we hope that you'll adopt these goals as our district goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. There's a second memoriam on the agenda tonight, Students Against Destructive Decisions Day Resolution. I'm sorry, there's another resolution.
Sure. So SADD, S-A-D-D, stands for Students Against Destructive Decisions, is a nationwide organization which originally was founded as Students Against Drunk Driving. For those of us that were in school in the 80s, you may recall that version of it. It has since changed into Students Against Destructive Decisions, not focusing exclusively on drunk driving, but all behaviors that may be problematic for our students. Our high school has a SADD club for many, many years, and the officers of the club have requested that this resolution be adopted by the board in recognition of the 45th anniversary of the organization. Following the Board of Education meeting, we're going to be posting a news story on the district website recognizing the day, as well as acknowledgement throughout the school district on the district calendar. It's also going to be recognized at each school during morning announcements on September 18th. Beyond that, the high school SADD Club is also going to be doing activities within the high school on that specific day in recognition of SADD Day. And the resolution reads, Students Against Destructive Decisions Day Resolution. Whereas SADD, known as Students Against Destructive Decisions and founded as Students Against Drug Driving in 1981, celebrates National SADD Day, a day to highlight all of the impacts SAD teens make a difference in our lives on September 18th, 2026. And whereas SAD is the nation's leading youth-based peer-to-peer education, prevention, and activism organization with thousands of chapters across the United States, and students actively provide peer-to-peer prevention in schools and communities across the country. And whereas SAD has been a symbol of youth leading the way for 45 years to promote positive decision-making by youth regarding critical everyday issues such as underage drinking, substance abuse, impaired and distracted driving, and teen mental health through prevention, youth leadership, and peer-to-peer education. And whereas SAD shares the goal of the Monroe-Woodbury Central School District to keep students safe and alive and has made a difference in the lives of millions of youth across the nation over the past 45 years. And whereas SAD is celebrating this important milestone with a special event called SAD Day involving students, teachers, parents, and other community members on Friday, September 18th, 2026. Therefore, be it resolved that the Monroe-Woodbury Central School District recognizes September 18th, 2026 as SAD Day in Monroe-Woodbury.
Is there a motion to approve Students Against Destructive Decisions Day, the resolution for September 18th, 2026? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carried. Motion to approve the August 12th, 2026 Board of Education meeting minutes.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Motion to approve personnel items 10.1 through 10.17.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Motion to approve business and financial items 11.1 to 11.8.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Motion to approve committees on special education and preschool special items 12.1 through 12.5.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. Reports by board and central office. Let's see how we shake things up tonight. Dr. Santicool.
Hi, everybody. I hope everyone had a summer with tons of core memories, and I look forward to the new academic year and all the adventures that come with it.
Thank you. Trustee Vega.
Oh, okay. Thank you to the Cabinet for the presentation on the strategic plan and portrait of a graduate. You all did a great job. I particularly want to thank Patrick and Bargoff for their commitment to the word safety and continuing just really combining both physical safety and emotional safety and not having those work in silos is going to be, in my opinion, a key to reaching this goal this year. So I want to thank you both and wishing everyone a wonderful, memorable first day.
Dr. Morales.
Good evening. I would like to thank the board. One of the contracts approved tonight was with Luke and Friends, and we are excited to continue to expand our UPK program and add 10 more seats and partner with this new organization. We're very excited about that. And finally, I would just like to thank all of our departments for all efforts to get our buildings ready for students to come back next week. It's the best time of year for us. I don't know about but we are very excited, and it does take a village. So thank you to everybody who's make sure we are. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Dr. Hassler.
I couldn't agree more. If you've driven by the CV Middle School, High School campus this week, you probably noticed that athletics have started. Our athletes are back, which means that the students are soon to follow. I was in the high school earlier today, and they were putting the welcome back banner across the front portico of the high school, so it's happening soon. A quick shout out to the middle school. Thank you for a great sixth grade orientation last week, and good luck to the high school. Tomorrow night is their ninth, or tomorrow, I think during the day is the ninth grade orientation, so good luck with that. Looking forward to a great opening. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Officer.
Good evening. I hope everyone had a good summer. Thank you for the detailed presentations, very insightful, and looking forward to a great school year.
Mr. Cahill.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to echo sentiments shared this evening, extend my best wishes to everyone for an amazing new year. A big thank you to everyone who helped us prepare for the start of the upcoming school year, especially our buildings and ground staff. They worked around summer programs, around the capital projects, moved furniture, cleaned classrooms, and did everything necessary to ensure our schools are ready to welcome back students and staff. I'd also like to thank the teachers and staff at Pine Tree Elementary School. So we started our capital work there in sort of a major way in the spring, and it amped up in the summer. Everyone was a great sport in the face of some inconvenience and displacement, and we truly appreciate their cooperation and understanding. And with that, I hope everyone has a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Vyas.
In technology, it's always an interesting summer, busy summer. So, but we are ready. We are excited to welcome back our students and staff next week. Good evening.
Trustee Bellino.
Thank you, Cabinet, for the presentation. Very helpful, and I appreciate the time to answer the questions. I thank you all again for that. Good luck to all the students and staff starting again soon. Good night.
Last but certainly not least, Mr. Berger.
Good evening. We had a number of new hires approved tonight, so I want to first congratulate them and welcome them to the Monroe-Woodbury family. Also want to thank the board for their support all summer. This has been a very busy season, in terms of hiring, so I want to thank you for your support. We had one retirement as well that was approved tonight, so I do want to congratulate Barbara Aladad. Barbara was a health office assistant for the past 31 years in our district. She spent a couple of decades as a varsity cheerleading coach as well. So I just want to thank her for her dedication, her service to our students in district. Wish her the absolute best in retirement. Have a great evening and enjoy the last week of summer.
Thank you. Vice President Donahue.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Roy for the portrait of graduate. Very informative for the district. I'd also like to congratulate graduates. Graduation was really beautiful. New hirees, welcome to the district. And our hiree. And I'd also like to include Dr. his impending retirement from the military. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a wonderful 20. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Norman.
Good evening again. Thank you, Mr. Donahue, for your kind words. I too want to recognize our summer graduates. I really want to acknowledge them for all of their hard work and perseverance. As I shared in the ceremony, it's hard for young students dealing with peer pressure to persevere with what they had to persevere through and get their diploma. So really kudos and congratulations to them and their families. You heard me talk about this is a year of action. Tomorrow, the cabinet and I will conduct a cabinet retreat. We're going to spend that retreat with Dr. Joe Durney, who has served as a consultant to our district for the past 2 years, worked with our administrators, and now he's going to focus on the cabinet and I for a day. Thank you to everyone who has worked extremely hard this summer. As Mr. Cahill shared, I just want to echo that. I know that it's not easy. You're preparing buildings and facilities to receive students, but you're doing it. I see it. Still got a little bit of ways to go, but I'm confident that we'll be there by opening day. Lastly, what we talked about tonight, I look forward to sharing that, with all of our district community, our teachers, administrators, monitors, aides, custodians, everyone during our opening day. The message will be the same. This is a year of action. We have listened to our community. We've identified things. Now, it's time to go to work. And I'm excited to do that. I'm confident that we're going to do that. So it's going to be a great year. I look forward to seeing our students next week, Wednesday, September 2nd, Wednesday, and our faculty and staff, Tuesday. Tuesday. Monday is still a summer work day for the others. All right, thank you and good night.
Thank you. I'd like to echo the sentiments and congratulate the summer graduates. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at the ceremony, but I do mirror the sentiments that it does take an awful lot to persevere through a hardship and make sure that you are taking care of business, as they say. So congratulations to you, and we wish you well on your amazing, amazing journeys moving forward. I do want to say thank you to the cabinet and Dr. Norman for the thoughtfulness in terms of the strategic goals for the school district. This is one of the reasons Monroe-Woodbury continues to be at the forefront of providing a phenomenal education for our students, because every decision is really thought through. It is thoughtful. It is based on statistics and facts and what's best for the next generation of students to make sure that they're being prepared for the world that is in front of them. So I really appreciate every single person who's had a hand in making sure that the strategic goals happened, and who will have a hand in making sure that the strategic goals are achieved. So thank you to our community partners, families, students, and everyone in the administration and the faculty. So I appreciate all the work that went into that. The board is committed to making sure that we do what we can to support the strategic plan and making sure that it comes to fruition in the ways that we all envision. I wish everyone a very happy 4 or 5 days. 4 or 5 days of summer. So enjoy. I look forward to welcoming everyone back to the first day of school, and I wish every single faculty member, student a phenomenal, amazing, and successful 2026 and 2027 school year. Before we adjourn, there's one other vote that we are going to do. It is a motion to approve those district goals, that mission, and that vision. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
A lively group now. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. And with that, I make a motion to adjourn. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
I guess we can stay here if we don't want to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carries. The meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.